Hello everybody and welcome to the Penelope Possum channel with me, your hostess Penelope the Possum. We've got the motherfucking Pebbles Flintstone hair going today like we did last time. Let's motherfucking go. I've got some royalty free spoopy music ready to play and a friend on my mic. Say hello to my bat. I haven't thought of a name for it yet, but we gotta be a little quiet today. So let's read some creepypastas. Yes? Yeah. Oh wait, actually before I start that, some new project. A cathode ray tube TV. A mushroom. Here he is. Kanito pet. Literal desktop buddy. Like he's gonna live on my desk top. Actually, I'll keep that up so I can skip any songs that don't fit the vibe. Don't get me wrong, I hate when people complain about the lack of realism and entertainment. And I think all the kids need to believe in Santa and the Tooth Fairy for as long as possible, but this is different. Again, this is Lost Episodes. Hello, this is Lost Episodes by Slime Beast. Again, we've restarted this because the entire video of that corrupted, so let's get going back to it. Back in the 80s, I met this dude Sid who used to cut old VHS tapes and shit. It was more than a hobby for him. It was pretty much his entire life. His parents were a bit more wealthy than I'd been blessed with. So when we were teenagers, and I was slaving away at a Scats fast food restaurant, he just hung around the house cutting tapes all day, all night. Of course, as you get older, the things in your past become a bit clearer, and you might have been borderline that word. We're not saying that again, because I feel like it summoned those creeps last time. Or maybe just very high functioning Asperger's. Of course, I'm no expert. I'm not saying that was the cause. It's the best and quickest way I can think of to explain his personality and his obsession with cutting tapes. There we go. It started when he saw Old Yeller as a little kid. For whatever reason, his parents watch that shit. If you're unfamiliar, it's the tale of a boy and his dog. I hope I don't have to announce the spoil for such an old-ass movie. Watch your profanity. But in the end, the boy has to shoot his own dog because it's rabid. Sid didn't appreciate this. His dad photographed and videotaped weddings, so he showed Sid how to operate some of the machines. Sid cut out the endings, placing it with an earlier, happier scene, as if Old Yeller had just suddenly got better off screen. This is a far better track for this. He watched the tape obsessively after that, even into his early teens when I first met him. He made me watch it once to show how he fixed it. I could actually picture him as a little boy once he started applauding and cheering his own faux ending. And I don't want to say I was a bad influence, but after I saw it, I asked if he could do that with other roommates. My major interest was perhaps taking a film or two and cutting some nude frames the actresses hadn't really done. Don't worry about it. I never actually had the guts to ask if you would. Just imagine how cool it'd be. Often. Fucking pervert. Get a fucking life, you goddamn degenerate. They told me that yes, he could fix any movie he wanted. In fact, he had done it with a few others. He had a copy of the Ghostbusters cartoon, and I shit you not, watch your profanity, gosh darn it. Every single ghost was completely removed. The story made no sense, there was no continuity, but he had accomplished it, and I was very impressed. I guess in the time of VHS, these things seem more magical than they do nowadays. It is still hard as fuck to edit videos. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I'm sure it was harder back then, but goddamn it, does it still ever take so much fucking time out of my life to edit these videos, but I still do it because I love you all. Reminds me. Oh, really? Dang. Hold on. I still want the music. Hold on. Is that better? Is that a little bit better? Is the music better now? Can you hear me more? Much better? Okay, good. Because I still wanted some ambiance. Woodlululu. As time went by, I encouraged Sid to edit more movies, but with different purposes. Instead of whitewashing all the scary stuff like he wanted to, I got him to see on the light on how awesome he could make things. Oh, yeah, hear you. Yoink. Somewhere out there, this chubby Star Wars nerd from our high school has all 3 original films flawlessly cut together with edited effects that would have made George Lucas himself cry out enough. Meddling. I still don't really get that part. I don't really see. I might just not know enough about the filming of the Star Wars movies and how George Lucas was, but that's not my prerogative. We charged him like $20 for the only copy because we were idiots. Anyway, this went on for a while before I lost most of my interest in it. It's more of a goof for me than it was for him. This is the point where I started working, driving, taking bases with local girls. Get a fucking life, you pervert. Well, he just got more and more involved in those tapes. His favorites were the cartoons. Hi. We're reading a creepypasta. You kind of dropped in halfway through. Welcome. This is the Penelope Possum channel. We've only recently started doing this. But please keep in mind, if you start spouting anything crazy or doing anything weird, I will find your channel and report you. No, it's fine. Just don't spout any racist or ableist or otherwise hateful comments, or I will ban you from the chat and report your channel. Because I am not dealing with that again. This isn't my job, this is a hobby. I don't care about anything like that. Anyways, His favorites were the cartoons. When The Simpsons came around, he went apeshit with those. Now, his edits weren't so much fixing things as it was just breaking them in interesting ways. Another thing that sticks out in my mind is when he recorded an episode of MASH and cut it with an old, gory war flick. I read that in the wrong order. Who gives a shit? Halfway through his version, the camp gets bombed, soldiers invade, everyone dies. At the end, he specifically worked in freeze frames of every cast member's face, eyes closed. He completely reversed his interests, embraced what had once terrified him. Scary endings. He seemed to love things like long, drawn-out sequences and terrifying silence. He'd make me be quiet while they played too. It just seems like this guy had a special interest in films and filmmaking and could have really used like some good helping hands instead of this prick, but that's just me. You may have heard about this mysterious fellow named Banksy who goes around creating interesting graffiti and whatnot. At one point, he went to a music store and replaced some Paris Hilton CDs with his own fakes. Banksy had nothing on set. Every other week, he'd tell me about some store or video rental place he'd snuck some of his tapes into. Stopped out some of the real ones for his versions, and then he'd start all over by cutting the ones he had stolen. At one point, I hadn't heard from him in a long while. I stopped by his parents' house and found him in the garage. He had set up his own little movie studio there, complete with a drawing board. He was actually animating entirely new content. All at once, I was both blown away by his artistic skill I'd never seen before and very concerned about when this guy was going to come out of the dark and start acting normal like me. He barely looked up from his drawings as we spoke. I asked him what any kid, now in his late teens, would ask. What the fuck is wrong with you? Watch your profanity. Oh my goodness. Seriously, dude, this is some crazy shit. It's work. I'm working. My work is just as important as anyone else's. Are you even selling these anymore? Or are you just sneaking them into places? How much is all this costing your dad? I don't care. I looked at what he was so fervently illustrating. Is that a headless body dancing? Yeah, it's pretty dark, man. I know, that's the point. I don't get it. Those tapes. No exposure, I just wanna be a loner. Some can't stay sober, looking over all their shoulders. Like moving boulders just to get out of the home. It sucks. I've had enough. I don't wanna feel the stuff. Yeah, he definitely sounds like an entire turbo douche. I got nightmares in my head. I fear that the thoughts build up until oh my good lord. That's enough of the music. I tried to have nice ambiance, but the music was not hitting. I'm sorry, guys. Those tapes, I thought they were wrong, but over time I figured out the truth, which is the scary stuff is right, the happy endings are the lie. He just kept drawing as I stood there. The silence was disturbing, and in that moment I could smell the BO coming off of him. It just wasn't sweat either. It was a mingling of that and a foul, not saying that, pee and poo stained cloth. That's what I'm gonna call it. It wasn't until I was in my late 30s. When I was in my 30s, excuse me, that Sid. I almost called the poor lad Skid. Good lord. Sid had crossed my mind again. I was perusing the internet, just aimlessly wandering the web, when it came across a series of urban legends about strange VHS tapes, recut movies, and lost episodes. Some of these I'd recognized. I watched them with Sid or I'd actually seen him in the middle of working on them. Very disturbing. With every disturbing scene, every unbelievable anecdote, I believe it because I'd been there. Others, SpongeBob cartoons, episodes of iCarly or whatever, those shows came along after I'd made my book with Sid. But the style was all too familiar. Even the ones that didn't sound like his work seemed like they could have been broken copies or attempts at mimicking his work. He was still doing it. God, it boggled my mind. I called up Sid's old number, and not entirely sure I'd still find him there. It rang for minutes on end. I knew the search was hopeless. Even if he'd still lived with his parents, it wasn't likely they'd all be at the same house by now. But still, I made it a point to drive out to his old place to see if it was still in that garage, cutting tapes or manipulating them via a computer or whatever he'd be up to. When I passed by the house, the unkempt lawn was overgrown with huge waist-high weeds. The dilapidated facade of the building, with its peeling paint on the shutters for missing roof tiles, muck-filled gutters. No one told me no one had lived there for a very long time. I saw a note on the door, but I couldn't read it from the road. I figured maybe it was something I could use to locate Sid and see if he'd ever gotten the help I now realized I should have given him. Pulling into the driveway, my headlights illuminated the garage door. It was a windowless, vandalized with gangster tags of some traveling band of assholes. Like you're one to fucking talk, buddy? Like you're one to talk about someone being an asshole? The note on the door might, as one might expect, spoke of a certain bank now owning the property. Noted that trespassing was heavily discouraged. And at some point, someone would be out to make sure the house was winterized, whatever the hell that was. I walked back to the car, defeated. Something was nagging at me. I knew Sid's parents kept a spare key under a false rock by the back stairs, basically by virtue of Sid locking us both out on several occasions. And I found that key. A sense of cold, gnawing dread swirled in my stomach. Who would move out and leave everything in place like this? The key was the most obvious thing, but the flower pots and the lawn decorations were still there. Sid's old, rusted-out Huffy bike was leaning against the house and had created thick, rusty streaks across the aluminum siding. I don't even know what I expected to find, but using the key, I entered the house. The smell was overwhelming. Not a putrid smell, nothing rotten or decaying. Just the smell of, I don't know if this would make any sense to you, but the smell of electricity. Like burning dust on a light bulb or a heater giving off a peculiar warmed metal odor. That makes so much sense to me. I understand completely what this guy's talking about. Oh, I should show you guys one more time the new projects I'm making. A little old-fashioned TV set. A little mushroom. I'm 50-50 on whether or not I'm going to draw classic like Mario mushroom spots or eyeballs. Might do a mixture of both. And a little Kanito pet. Who'll either sit up here or down here. I also have a little bat on my cable. Go for both. That's what I was thinking, like doing like a little bit of both. Like do like half of them are gonna be spots, half of them are gonna be eyes. Anyways, that was the least of my concerns, however, as I saw everything just as I had left it. Everything Sid's family owned was frozen in time. The dining room table we'd all sat on many occasions was dust-covered and supported in an emaciated dead rat, which had all but turned to dust. The television, that bulky, oversized television set. We all sat around to watch Sid's tapes and load his creativity. Sat where it had always been, silently displaying a violent bombardment of black and white static. Okay, this is freaky as hell right now. As I moved through the room, the sense of panic and discomfort within me only grew. Every fiber of my being was shouting, "Run! Run, you fucking idiot!" Still, I pressed into Sid's bedroom. It was now empty and in disrepair. His prized action figures and blank videotapes, hundreds of videotapes stale and water damaged. I almost wanted to call out, to shout, "Sid!" and waited for him to appear as if nothing was out of the ordinary. Oh my god, I just read ahead a little bit. This is fucking crazy. I went into his parents' bedroom. There, laying in bed, were two motionless bodies, gone to gray, half turned to dust, just like the rat in the dining room. I could scarcely believe I was seeing with my own eyes. Not only were there two slowly dissipating, two dead bodies, let me reread that. Not only were there two dead bodies slowly dissipating within the confines of this once idyllic suburban household's water break. Yeah, me personally, I wouldn't have gone into this house in the first place. That's just me, though. Once idyllic suburban household, but nobody had even checked on them. Nobody had discovered this until now. My mind raced, my heart raced. The only things that wouldn't move were my feet, which remained glued to the spot. Sid, I thought, must have done this. There was no way the two of them would just lie down one night and simultaneously die of natural causes. Sid had said he didn't care about his parents, and when was the last time I had seen them? God, I haven't seen them for days, maybe even weeks. The last time I talked to Sid, when I finally left the room. I took out my cell phone and dialing 911 as soon as I lifted it to my head. An ear-splitting shriek of interference nearly caused me to fling the object across the room. I rushed to the kitchen, phone squealing static. I tried the living room phone, just to be thorough static. I'm gonna try that sentence one more time. I tried the living room phone just to be thorough, static. It wasn't until I pushed the receiver back down that I heard the music. Faint, barely audible music that I hadn't noticed before. It seemed to be repeating some melody, happy and light, some flutes, maybe a whole horn section. It followed the peppy tune to the in-house door to the garage, pressing my ear to the door's dirty surface. I determined the music was indeed coming from just beyond. I'm sorry. No hate to this guy. Except all hate to this guy, but fuck this. Absolutely no. I would have been gone as soon as I saw that fucking dead rat. I wouldn't have even gone into the house. No. Sid, I called out. barely managing to form the name with cold, bloodless lips. Sid, are you in there? Are you alright? I tried the door only to find it somehow locked from the other side. It was no matter, since one wild kick nearly knocked the rotting wood off of its hinges. Could you not have gone for an alliteration right there, please? Sid! I shouted as the dust slowly cleared. Through the haze, I could only see the light of a television screen. Vibrant colors, blue, green, yellow. Soon, I could make out a cartoon playing on the screen. Then the silver wires running from the set itself into some darkness. Yeah, I think anybody with half a brain would have been gone long ago, but we're not this guy. Then the silver wires running from the set itself into some dark mass. Then the dark mass took shape as my eyes adjusted to the odd lighting. It was Sid? Or rather his body. Not dead, nearly as long as his parents. Oh shit. Seated in an old office chair. The wires from the television set led directly to his body, eventually disappearing into several old, crusted over holes in his leathery flesh. Through a small, worm-eaten opening in his ribs, I thought I could see more metal inside of him. I walked toward Sid's side, holding my hand over my mouth for fear of vomiting. His face was twisted into a hideous, wide grin. His empty eye sockets almost seemed happy, hooded by a pleased brow line. Hi there! I heard a jarring voice. The voice was upbeat, high-pitched. It almost sounded like Sid, but a different, bubbly, cartoony. I turned to the screen. The green grass, the blue sky, the yellow flowers, and Sid. A perfect caricature of him. It strolled along the infinite loop of that utopian cartoon background. It waved to me. It fucking waved to me. Sid? I whispered. Oh God. Sid. The cartoon version of him, turned his attention away from me and continued to merrily stroll across that unending cycle of the same backdrop. He passed a shrub and then passed it again and again and again. The same bluebird, chirping happily, flew through the sky in a figure eight. Sid. I shook my head, unable to comprehend the scenario. I never should have let you leave reality. I thought about what Sid had done to his mom and dad. I thought about the bank come by soon and all would come to light. I watched Sid walk along for nearly half an hour, and then I unplugged the set. And that was Lost Episodes by, I've forgotten the name of the author already, Slime Beast. Wow. That was kind of a fucking trip. We still got some time. Does anybody want to read another creepypasta along with me? Because that got really dramatic at the end. I liked that. Or do we want to react to spooky YouTube videos. Sid wasn't always a sicko, though. This kid fucked him up. Sure, why not? More creepypastas? Okay, let's go to more creepypastas. Let's, see if we can find any more good story. Point out anything that seems interesting. Does anybody know which film the scene is set in? Blazer's Forgotten Fun Zone. Mirror, mirror, echoes from the ashes. The bar. What we already read. The failure of Project X2, actually. I'm gonna do something a little different. We're gonna go to top rated. We've got Baby Monitors by KCK123. No End House by an unknown author. Pills by K.E. Moore. 4 Hours It Stared by... Is this Echoes from the Ashes? Okay, we're gonna go back. Oh, looks like there's already a narration of this one. Him. Ooh. Hopefully they don't mind me narrating as well. This is Echoes from the Ashes by Nicholas Alparos Lila. I probably fucked that up horribly, but we're just gonna continue on, yes? The air was thick and heavy, permeated with the scent of burning flesh. Ugh. I was trapped in my own body, or what was left of it, swallowed by an overwhelming sense of despair. My skin, once fair and smooth, was now nothing more than ash and char. Yet I was still here, trapped in this surreal existence, a consciousness without a body. Big L on your part. Personally, I wouldn't let that happen to me, but, fucking cope, I guess. Each moment was an eternity. Each second was an agony I couldn't describe. I could still feel the blistering heat licking at my skin, gnawing at my insides. I could still hear the crackle of the flames, see the world through an inferno's haze, each molecule of my being felt like it was aflame, and the pain was unbearable. Sheesh. I wasn't alone in my torment. There were others like me who remained even after their physical forms had ceased to exist. We were caught in the same fiery torment, tethered to an existence of unbearable pain. Their once comforting voices had now become harbingers of horrifying reality. They told me with a profound sadness that I would grow accustomed to the pain. This existence, a limbo of unending torment, was beyond human comprehension, and yet here I was, a consciousness engulfed in flames. I need more water. Better. A captive, to the everlasting pain. Others who shared this space with me were of all ages and from all walks of life. Each had their own tales of their transition into this torment. Despite our diverse backgrounds, we were bound by our common plight. They spoke in hushed tones of acceptance, a chilling resignation to the cruel twist of fate that kept us here. They all said I'd get used to the pain, that it would become a part of me, an appendage of my non-physical self. The pain will stop bothering you, they reassured, their voices echoing through the fiery abyss. I was consumed by the overwhelming sense of horror at the thought of this becoming my normal, this prospect of growing numb to this pain, to the ceaseless fire gnawing at the remnants of my existence, was more of a profound terror than the pain itself. The weight of my existence seemed to grow heavier with each passing moment. My consciousness drifted in the mists of ever-present flames, burning yet not consumed, trapped in a purgatory of pain and regret. Time had lost its meaning, morphed into a monstrous, unending spiral of suffering. The others had all grown silent now, resigned to their fate. I could hear their whispers of acceptance, echoes of their lives lost and forgotten dreams. My heart ached, or what was left of it, at the grim reality of my existence. I was nothing more than a consciousness on fire, a spectral ember smoldering in the ever-blazing flames. I'll get used to it, I echoed in the abyss. The world felt hollow, a mocking echo of a promise of relief that would never come. I was trapped here, in this hellish limbo, a phantom, forever burning, but never consumed. An existence that had become a horrifying paradox of life and death. My screams mingled with the others, a chorus of the damned, echoing through the ether. Yet the world outside remained oblivious to our torment, and we were left alone to burn in our shared purgatory, lost souls in a world of relentless burning agony. Damn, that was way too short. That was good. That was really fucking good. We have still more time. Now we have the same options here. We could read more creepypastas, or we could watch some YouTube videos. I just saw earlier today that Dr. Bob, our GOAT, the MVP of Spooky Scary Saturdays, just posted a brand new video today. Or we could read another creepypasta. Dr. Bob? Okay. Let's do Dr. Bob.
Faces.
Yeah, Dr. Bob is the man. He's the dude. The man, the absolute goat. Everybody ready? Let's do this shit.
Flush, palms sweat, hearts.
Let's turn up the volume a bit for this one, because we know Dr. Bob's a bit of a quiet one.
Faces flush, palms sweat, hearts race, butterflies flutter their way through stomachs, all at the mere sight of that one special person. There's nothing in the world quite like that first blush of young love. It's a powerful feeling, the sort of feeling that makes kids write flowery poems and stuff them into lockers, that makes teenagers get a part-time job, all so that they can buy 2 movie tickets and all the concessions their date desires. And on this particular Friday night, one young man is cooking a full dinner for the first time in an attempt to impress his new girlfriend. Well, she's not just his new girlfriend. She's his first girlfriend, the girl he's loved since they were little kids running through sprinklers together.
Oh my god, that's too cute. Oh, my heart. How is he gonna die, though? I can already tell this poor guy's gonna die, isn't he? I feel bad, because I want him to succeed in this relationship. I want him to be happy. But we don't get happiness here. We only get sad. And
he got up the courage to confess his feelings and ask her out, and much to his delighted surprise, she said yes. His parents are out of town for the weekend, and it's the perfect time to have her over. So now, with his mom's recipe book in hand and determination in his heart, he's giving fettuccine Alfredo his best shot. Suddenly, he hears the doorbell ring. She's here. She's early. He throws the cookbook onto the counter and rushes to the door. He opens it and finds his date standing there wearing a new dress. She looks beautiful, and his heart leaps into his throat at the sight. He stammers, barely able to get the words out. Then the smoke alarm begins to screech from the kitchen. The pasta! He sprints to the kitchen, but it's too late.
Dang.
It's all gone up in smoke, and the promise of a perfect date with it. He turns to apologize, but she just laughs. Not in a mocking way, but like the disaster is just a private joke the two of them can share. In 30 minutes or less, the two young lovers are splitting a pizza, and the night is saved. The conversation slows to a lull, and they just look at each other. This is the moment, the sort of moment people write songs about. It's now or never. He leans in, she closes her eyes, he closes his. Their lips touch, and he swears that he can see fireworks. Wait, that's not in his imagination. He opens his eyes just in time to see a bright light, the brightest light he's ever seen, flood the room. With it comes a searing pain, ripping through his body, causing him to cry out. Then, when the light fades, and the pain with it, he is sitting there, alone. The girl is gone, and all that remains is the dress she was wearing, crumpled in a heap on the floor. For a moment, the young man just sits there, staring at the place where his first love once sat.
Damn. That's brutal, man. You did not have to write up a story like this. Damn, it couldn't have just been some dude about to rob some poor old lady that this happened to. No, it had to be the childhood love of this poor schmuck. God damn. Ruthless. Absolutely gutted my guy. Damn.
Then, the panic hits, overwhelming his senses. He grabs his phone and dials 911. When the operator answers, he struggles to explain exactly what happened. 1 minute, his girlfriend was sitting there. The next, she was just gone. As he sputters and sobs his way through the story, the operator gets the gist of it. There's a girl who's gone missing. An hour later, the police come knocking on his door. He tells them the same story, wiping the tears from his eyes as he recounts the impossible flash of light that stole her away. They take some notes, exchange a few raised eyebrows. They're going to talk to the girl's parents to see if anyone knows what could have happened. As they talk, they take notice of the girl's dress, abandoned on the floor. They ask to take it with them, and then They leave. The next day, the police come back, and instead of bringing any answers, they tell the young man he has a right to remain silent. Anything he says can be used against him in a court of law. As the cops lead him into the police car parked outside, he demands to know what is going on. He's being arrested, one officer explains, on suspicion of homicide. What?
The hell? They don't have any evidence for that. What the? They do not have evidence for that.
They think he killed her? That's impossible. He tries to tell them how he would never hurt her, how he loves her and wants them to find out what happened to her. But they won't listen. They drive him to the station, toss him in a holding cell, and let him use his one phone call to tell his parents what happened. They're going to drive back as fast as they can to call a lawyer to do something. They won't be able to get there until the next day. For now...
Shit, this guy's life just went down the fucking shitter. Holy fuck, man. Oh my god. He went from just about to have the best night of his whole life with the love of his life to being thrown in jail on suspicions of murdering her and not knowing where the fuck she went. What the hell, man? Only in America, man.
Now, the young man is on his own. He doesn't know how long he sits there in that empty holding cell, mind reeling. They took his phone when they brought him in, and there's no clock visible from here. The minutes creep by at a snail's pace, while he grieves the life he had only 24 hours ago. It's all gone now. No matter what happens next, it'll never be the same. He is just about to drift off into a dreamless sleep of pure exhaustion when he hears a voice. There are two men standing at the door to his cell, dressed in suits. He doesn't recognize them. They aren't cops. At least, they aren't any of the cops he's seen so far. He asks them what they want with him. They tell him not to worry, that he's being transferred to a new facility. His parents have already been notified, they promise, but something in the young man's gut tells him that they are lying. He shakes his head and refuses to go with them. A transfer in the middle of the night without him even talking to a lawyer? Something is wrong. The men open the door to the cell and step inside, telling him that he doesn't really have a choice in the matter. They received orders from their superiors to come and collect him, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Each man grabs hold of one of the boy's arms as they drag him through the door.
Damn! Oh my god. Okay, first off, I'm gonna assume this dude's like 18-ish. Like somewhere in the level of age where it's still acceptable to live with your parents. God.
Or leading him down the hall. His heart rate spikes, his stomach turning with pure panic as adrenaline floods his body. He has to get away, has to do something to escape. All of a sudden, that familiar pain tears through him again, and he doubles over in agony. There's a crackling sound, like lightning striking. The bright, searing light fills the hall, and there's a whiff of something like ozone in the air. Then, the mysterious men are gone, without so much as a trace left behind. The young man's eyes
dart. Oh my god, this guy's got a superpower.
Around the room. There's no one else here, no one to stop him from making a break for it. So he does. He runs through the nearest door, out the exit, and keeps running. He knows he's breaking the law, digging his own grave even deeper. It definitely looks suspicious to run away from the authorities when you're already a murder suspect. But it would be way worse to stay behind and possibly be blamed for even more disappearances that weren't his fault. So, he runs. His desperate escape leads him out into the woods, to an abandoned cabin where he used to play as a child. He can hide out in here, at least for a while. What comes next? He doesn't know yet, and tries to put the thought out of his mind. Focus on making it through the night first, he tells himself. Then worry about the future.
Dude, this is
As his breathing slows,
crazy.
the adrenaline fading from his body, he feels a heaviness overtake him. He's exhausted, more exhausted than he's ever been in his life. He slumps against the wall, then to the ground, letting the fatigue take him. Nothing else to do. Might as well get some sleep. When the young man wakes up, He's in an unfamiliar room. Not the cabin, not the jail cell, and certainly not his bedroom at home. There are fluorescent lights overhead and stark, white walls all around him. He's lying in what appears to be a hospital bed. He goes to sit up and realizes that he's been strapped down. As he begins to panic, a doctor approaches him. Or he thinks the man must be a doctor. He's wearing a white coat, carrying a clipboard. The man speaks in a pleasant, friendly tone, with just the slightest hint of clinical distance behind it. He tells the young man not to be afraid, and that no one is going to hurt him as long as he cooperates. He asks where he is, but the doctor doesn't answer. He struggles against the straps pinning him to the bed, demanding to be released. He asks for his phone, for a way to contact his parents or call a lawyer. The doctor does not answer. Then, that sudden pain, that crackling sound, that burst of light. The straps vanish, and the young man jumps off of the bed. But his legs are weak and unstable, his body still exhausted. He collapses and is strapped down all over again. The cycle repeats again and again like that for hours until the young man gives up. He begs the doctor to please just tell him where he is. The man relents and explains that this is a place called the SCP Foundation. He's been placed there after being removed from police custody, and he is, unfortunately, going to be there for quite a while. The young man doesn't yet know what this means, but he has been given an official designation, SCP-213. SCP-213 is an adolescent human male about 1.5 meters tall and weighing around 95 kilograms. SCP-213's most anomalous trait is his ability to forcefully sever the bonds between the atoms in any solid or semi-solid matter that he comes into physical contact with. When this effect manifests, it is accompanied by a blinding flash of light. This effect can be triggered by any part of SCP-213's body, as long as it comes into physical contact with the affected being or object. For example, projectiles that have hit SCP-213's body in various places have been vaporized in this way on impact. The effect is not only devastating for whatever is being disintegrated, but also causes severe pain to SCP-213 himself.
I can imagine.
During several recorded manifestations of the effect, the pain has been intense enough to render SCP-213 unconscious. According to his file, SCP-213 has never been particularly happy to be in Foundation custody. It isn't hard to see why. I can't say I would have enjoyed spending my youth locked up in a scientific research facility, even one in picturesque southern Italy. Unfortunately, there is currently no ethical alternative that I can see. If SCP-213 were permitted to walk free, he could cause untold damage to the surrounding population, the ecosystem, and humanity as a whole.
Damn,
so, tragic as it is, he must remain in containment in order to prevent any innocence from being disintegrated. SCP-213 made 6 escape attempts during his first 6 months in containment. After all of these failed, he began to plan his 7th. He took his time, waiting several months for the Foundation to let their guard down. Then he requested an interview with one of the head researchers assigned to his case. When security personnel disengaged most of the containment procedures in order to let her into the chamber, SCP-213 used his ability to vaporize the doors to the chamber and make a run for it. Unfortunately, when the researcher and 2 other agents attempted to grab hold of SCP-213 to stop him from escaping, they were disintegrated by his anomalous ability. Once he escaped his containment chamber, SCP-213 was faced with a new obstacle. He had no idea which way the exit was. He had only seen a limited portion of the facility, so he knew next to nothing about its layout or even how large the building
Remind me to beat the shit out of him next time we see him.
actually was.
Yep.
He ran as fast as he could in a randomly chosen direction, but was quickly surrounded and overwhelmed by security personnel. Using his effect to escape his cell had sapped his energy and left him exhausted, and he collapsed to the ground after approximately 15 minutes of freedom. He was found in the staff break room, trying desperately to break through the floor and escape into the lower levels of the building. But his proverbial battery was drained, and he was unable to do anything other than follow the security guards back to his cell. Following this failed attempt, SCP-213 seemingly abandoned his pursuit of escape. But there would be more of his containment breaches. The security cameras in SCP-213's cell captured footage of him sleeping, tossing and turning as if having a nightmare. Suddenly, there was that recognizable flash of light. When the light was gone, so was the bed
Oh, man.
and a
Dude
portion
couldn't
of the
even
floor.
sleep.
SCP-213 awoke in freefall as he plunged through the floor and into a basement level of the site. Thankfully, he landed on a pile of mattresses that had been placed into storage down there and was not injured. As this particular containment breach was obviously unintentional, he was not issued any punishments. A researcher's note was added to the file following this incident, which reads as follows. From study of this video, it is clear that SCP-213's control of the effect is not as perfect as it previously believed, and it has become more cooperative with us in trying to establish a method to control and utilize it. Vague conjecture on the part of the review staff as to possibilities of what would occur should the effect trigger accidentally, including SCP-213 self-vaporizing, are noted as being particularly useful in this regard. From here, the relationship between SCP-213 and the Foundation became a great deal less antagonistic. It seemed that the Foundation and SCP-213 shared a common goal. They both wanted to get to the bottom of SCP-213's anomalous properties and determine what exactly was causing them. From there, perhaps they could learn how to properly control them and prevent any more unintended casualties.
That would be nice.
SCP-213 was contained in a high-security humanoid containment cell within Site-77 in southern Italy. His containment chamber was surrounded by a 10-meter-wide zone filled with gaseous materials that are corrosive to human skin. SCP-213 was kept informed of the nature of his containment in order to prevent manifestations of his anomalous effect that might result in additional containment breaches. There were 2 guards positioned outside of the containment chamber at all times. These guards were required to be armed with high-pressure hoses, oleoresin capsicum, or pepper spray, and polymer web grenades, just in case. These containment procedures served SCP-213 well for some time. Then, during a routine physical examination of SCP-213, everything the Foundation thought they knew about him changed. The exam was off to a perfectly ordinary start when the physician happened to notice some lesions on the young man's back. At first glance, they appeared to be smooth nodules resembling a cyst or a small lipoma. However, the physician could tell right away that these were no ordinary cysts. There were 4 of them, positioned on SCP-213 at precise intervals of exactly 15 centimeters to form a perfect square.
Ew.
Additional medical personnel were assigned to monitor this condition in case of any changes, and follow-up examinations were scheduled. During the first follow-up examination of SCP-213, medical staff discovered 2 more nodules, each located in the center of one of the young man's palms. When asked if the nodules were causing any pain or discomfort, SCP-213 shrugged and said that they were a bit irritating, but otherwise had not given him any trouble.
All right.
Next, the medical personnel attempted to prick one of the nodules with a scalpel. The physician held the patient's hand steady, then attempted to excise a sample using the scalpel. However, the scalpel was unable to cut into the flesh. After a few seconds of trying, there was a flash of light, and the scalpel was vaporized. SCP-213 was questioned about this, of course, but insisted that he did not do it deliberately. Over the next few days, his energy levels dropped to a notable degree, and he began to complain of extreme pain in his back and stomach. The following week, security guards spotted SCP-213 having a seizure in his containment cell. He was immediately taken to intensive care. When he was examined, medical staff were disturbed to see an additional 10 nodules on his back, placed at exact 5-centimeter intervals. In spite of his complaints of stomach pain and the aforementioned seizure, SCP-213 continued to insist that he felt no pain from the nodules themselves. After the examination concluded and his vitals were found to be normal, he was sent back to his containment cell. Additional medical observers were assigned to monitor his condition alongside the guard staff already placed there. During the next follow-up examination, the medical examiner noted an unsettling change. All of the nodules, every single one, had vanished. In their place, SCP-213 was now covered with tiny incisions, less than 1 millimeter wide, wherever there had once been a nodule. Naturally, the examiner wanted to take a closer look. He started with the incision on SCP-213's left hand, lifting it close to his face to thoroughly inspect it. As he gazed into the medical mystery before him, the tiny little slit in SCP-213's palm opened. Something was gazing back. She gasped and dropped the young man's hand in shock. Further examination confirmed her worst fears. There was an eye behind each of the lesions on the young man's body. Something was living inside of him, and it was watching. He was placed in the medical wing for an extended stay as research staff scrambled to find an explanation. After several weeks, they managed to arrive at a conclusion. SCP-213 was infested with a parasite of unknown origin. Despite attempts by the Foundation to open a line of communication, the parasite inside of SCP-213 did not respond. It is unclear whether this was due to an inability to communicate or an unwillingness to do so. Whatever the
How would it communicate?
case may be, whenever a person is in the vicinity of SCP-213, one of the lesions on his body will open, and one of those little alien eyes will peer out, observing the person until they are no longer in his presence. As
Okay,
you
but
might
why?
expect, SCP-213
Hello. You want a kiss? Problem, doctor?
You're very silly.
I'm about to take it out anyways. Better? Bye. Oh goodness, my hair is very messy now. Hold on. It's a little better.
13's mental state has severely deteriorated since this revelation about his condition. He panics each time he spots one of the eyes opening and has submitted multiple requests that the entity in his body be surgically removed. The requests have been denied, pending further research. An additional researcher's note was added to the file for SCP-213 following this development. It reads, "The organism inhabiting SCP-213 fails to show up on any medical scan we have at our disposal. The new hypothesis is that this effect actually serves to provide sustenance and self-defense, with repeated tests to determine the nature of the anomaly has led to increased growth. SCP-213 has been placed in a chemically induced coma until further research can be conducted regarding the nature of this parasite. Containment procedures slated for major revision." I feel a great deal of sympathy for SCP-213. The poor fellow has not had the best lot in life, has he?
No,
He accidentally
hasn't.
vaporized his first love, was taken into custody by a mysterious secret organization, and now has been placed into a coma for the foreseeable future. All because of something he never chose, something he never had control over. Some entity with atom-splitting levels of power needed to hitch a ride and chose his body as the vehicle of choice. Where did it come from? What does it want? Will a normal life ever be possible for SCP-213?
We can only
Right
hope,
now,
man.
only the parasite knows. And it doesn't seem to feel like talking. Check out the Dr. Bob Patreon and become a junior researcher today. Now go and watch another entry from the files of Dr. Bob, like
Alright, everybody. That'll be everything for tonight. Thank you all for joining me, and thank you all for not being crazy like last time. Oh my god, last time was weird. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I have been Penelope the Possum. Stay hydrated, stay out of car engines, and stay out of the road. Yeah, that was awful. Anyways, as I was saying, stay out of car engine compartments, stay out of traffic, stay hydrated.